Welcome back to No Sleep Teal on the Reier on YouTube channel. Travis Reier back with you as the Jacksonville Jaguars continue to move through 2024 training camp, day 4 in the books on a humid, sticky, sweaty Saturday. That's what it typically is in Duval this time of year. But Doug Peterson putting his team through its paces earlier. We were able to take in the practice once again. We'll get into some observations that are more specific to teamwork, 11 on 11, some 7 on 7, even some kicking game talk. You know, we like to talk special teams here on NST as well, but defense, that was the theme, that was the narrative, that was the dictation, that side of the football. Not just in terms of effectiveness, but just energy that's coming from this team right now. And yeah, a lot of times it's easy to have a lot of great energy when you're handling your business on a consistent basis, but that's kind of where things sit. We've heard many, many times, right? Defense ahead of the offense during the early stages of a preseason. That's very much been the case. And that was the case once again on Saturday. Now, there were a few highlights for the offense. We'll get into some of those. As I recall, most of those were limited more so to say 7 on 7, but really, the organized team stuff got underway with a field goal period, sort of overlooked with everything else that this football team is sort of trying to work through on the offensive and defensive sides. But once again, Cam Little, the draft pick from the University of Arkansas, some impressive stuff during the practice. By my count, he was 4 of 5 with a miss from right around 47 yards. He was 2 of 2 from 50 plus. And then Riley Patterson, the chief competitor, the only competitor to Cam Little at this point, 3 of 5 for the veteran. Cam did have a miss. At some point during the practice, I was pretty sure Cam was going to be the offensive MVP. It was, again, that sort of performance by the Jaguars defense. But he did miss to cap the final 11 on 11 period, doinked one off the right upright from 50 plus. Otherwise, I thought Cam Little was impressive. As far as the early 11 on 11 period, we'll start with offense, move over to the defense. The Jaguar offense opened up in 11 personnel. No Gabe Davis on Saturday as far as 11 on 11 or 7 on 7. So what you saw to open that drill, that period, Devin Duvernay, once again, working atop the rotation with guys like Christian Kirk and also Brian Thomas Jr. When the Jags did go to 12 personnel, we did see some Brenton Strange and Luke Farrell out there together. Probably the biggest highlight early on with Trevor at the controls was, we talked about this yesterday, design movement for Trevor. There was some of that early. He was able to boot out on a naked and hit his favorite target, Evan Ingram, crossing the field or working out in the left flat for what turned into an explosive. Now, the early stages of 11 on 11, as far as the defense go, no, no Tyson Campbell, no Jarian Jones at the cornerback spots. So you had a veteran in Amani Oruwariye. Previously, the Detroit Lions spent last season with the Jaguars as a practice squad guy. He opened 11 on 11 at the one corner spot opposite Ronald Darby. You had Antonio Johnson because we didn't see Andrew Wingard during the 11 on 11 or 7 on 7 stop on Saturday. Had Antonio Johnson, the Texas A&M product, working alongside Andre Cisco at the safety spots. Darnell Savage once again working the slot corner, and kind of interesting up front. Again, these are shorts and helmets practices, so take from it what you will. No Eric Armstead. You already knew that. The acquisition from the San Francisco 49ers in the preseason. Once again, Devon Hamilton and Iseze Otamiwo has the last couple of days, we've seen him out there early with Devon. And Iseze, previously at the Minnesota Vikings, played his college football at the University of Minnesota. Also kind of like Oruwariye, practice squad guy a year ago for the Jaguars. And so when the Jags went from nickel to base, we continue to see Chad Muma in there with Foyer and Devin Lloyd. So we took note of that. And then we also saw Muma at the inside linebacker position with Ventrell Miller the second-year linebacker from the University of Florida. Ventrell looking good coming off his latest injury. It's been a shame for Ventrell Miller going back to his time at Florida, the injuries that he has incurred. But really, in the first 3 or 4 days, this is a guy that's not showing any effects of his latest setback. So that's been a positive to go along with several others for this Jaguars defense during the first 3 or 4 days of training camp. Now, once you got into the twos, I thought CJ Beathard, once again, first 3 days, clean, efficient, looks like the veteran you would expect him to look like at this point in his career. Looks very much like a solid number two for someone, whether it's the Jags or someone else. Looks like he's in good shape, moving well. Did some good things once again. Nothing exceptionally flashy from CJ Beathard, but took care of the football, ran the offense the way you want to see a veteran backup run it, and just solid. I think that's the word that comes to mind so far with CJ Beathard through 4 days. Mac Jones jumping in there with the threes in the early 11 on 11. Pretty nice throw from Mac on the move to Denzel Mims, the long, lanky wide receiver. Had a couple of nice plays at that position for the Jaguar offense on Saturday morning. So from there, the Jags, for the first time in camp, transitioned into some 2-minute work. It really wasn't 2-minute work. It was really like 80-second work. They put a minute 20 on the clock. The offense comes out, of course, with Trevor. And very early on in this period, with the running clock and the 2-minute drill simulation, Trevor had a pass go off Evan Ingram that Elijah Cooks made a really nice catch of off the deflection. It was a little dicey there for a second. Could have been a anybody's ball type of situation, but Cooks comes up with it. Then you have a delay of game. You don't like to see that with your ones and with your veteran quarterback at any point, but it is early in camp. This is, again, the first time we had really seen 2-minute or, again, 1 minute and 20-second offense. So it just didn't amount to much, the opportunity in that situation. And Cam Little, though, comes on, the rookie from Arkansas, and bombs one from, I had it at roughly 55 yards out. He drills it for 3 points. And, you think about the defense during this same interaction between mostly ones versus ones. And again, understanding you had some key guys out in the secondary, which made it even more impressive to me what the Jags continue to do on defense. Darnell Savage had some nice coverage on Christian Kirk. I'll tell you, it's one of the most impressive plays I saw all day, if not the most impressive play from the morning. Travon Walker, the big man, it's a 4th down play, and he drops in coverage and blankets Travis Etienne and forces an incompletion and a turnover on downs in a situation. Very impressive stuff from the big man, Travon Walker. Arurier, I'm going to get it right here in a minute. It's a mouthful. I thought he had a solid morning. Thought he had a good morning working in that spot that was vacated by a couple of absences. He had a nice pass breakup against Elijah Cooks on a dig route. Adam Gotsis, the defensive end, had a pass deflection, and that sort of led up to Cam Little's 55-yard field goal attempt. So from Trevor, you transition into the twos, and this time it's Mac that's going to get an opportunity. Really nice ball early on to Duvernay, and unfortunately, Devin couldn't hang on. Mac follows that up with a scramble, a run right up the middle of the defense. He's got man coverage, kind of lets it all run off across the field. That opens up a big lane for him to step up and run. And of course, Mac, even though we're talking a full field type of situation, this isn't red zone work. Mac, of course, runs the entirety of the field and then looked like a variation of the gritty at about the 2 on his way to the end zone. And that actually did provide some energy, some needed energy to this offense and really to the crowd there at the Miller Electric Center practice fields. And it all sort of culminated there a little bit later. Riley Patterson comes on, gets his opportunity to cap 11 on 11 work, and he misses wide to the right. Now, defensively, when we talk about this sequence with the twos, DeAndre Prince, the rookie from Ole Miss, had a really solid day in his own right. He had some good coverage on Tim Jones on one particular pass attempt from Mac. And then he came right back too with some good stuff on Seth Williams, the former Auburn wide receiver. So good to see Prince maybe taking a step forward as well. Now get into the threes, and it's CJ Beathard out there with the offense. Little circle route to Dearness Johnson out of the backfield to get things going. Unfortunately, from there was a false start, but CJ comes right back. I thought it was a pretty good day for the tight ends as a whole. Uh, and he hits DeGuara, the tight end, underneath. Then he hits Easton in the flat. CJ Beathard does. Cam Little comes back on, and he's good once again. So good to see that from Cam Little. But again, just nothing really sustained in the early 11 on 11 work for the offense. And again, that's with a couple of three important pieces to that Jaguar secondary not being in play on Saturday. You also had, talking special teams, first time I had seen this anyway, was a kickoff coverage period because, you're going to have the new kickoff rules in the NFL this year. So a totally different approach to coverage, to returns. And with that, what we saw from Patterson and Cam Little were a couple of different approaches to kicking the football on kickoffs. You saw some directional kicks with some hang time into the corners. You saw some knuckleballs that certainly increased the likelihood of muffs. And because your coverage unit is going to be down there pretty much when the ball is kicked, all it's going to take is one bad bounce or one deflection off of a returner. And I think you're going to have a great chance for some takeaways in your kickoff coverage. But again, I thought Ventrell Miller showed pretty well in that drill, just in terms of how he's moving right now. It's a real positive, I think. And now if he can just stay healthy, perhaps he can make a run there as a depth provider and special teamer for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then the Jags went back into some 7-on-7. First team offense comes out there, and right out the gate, not exactly sure what Trevor Lawrence was looking at, but he tries to rip the seam, and he ends up throwing into triple coverage, and the ball is high and over the middle and right into the awaiting arms of Andre Cisco. The play never had a chance. I'm sure Trevor is trying to create something in that scenario because to this point, again, the offense, there just wasn't much positivity, not much energy coming from the offensive side of the ball, trying to give his guys a boost right there, forced it into triple coverage. It was really more of the type of faux pas that you would see from a rookie quarterback. But again, still early in training camp, still working through some things. But Cisco with the pick, and he had a good time running it back the other way while he was at it. CJ Beathard got the opportunity up next, worked a nice outcut to Parker Washington, came right back behind that, actually looked off the safety nicely and just missed Washington on a vertical throw down the right sideline. And again, defensively, Oru Warrior at the cornerback position, getting a lot of run on Saturday. Had another nice pass breakup during this period. Matt comes up next with the threes. Beautiful, beautiful deep ball to Joshua Cephas with Gregory Jr. looking at the taillights of number 19. Very nice ball, very nice play, much needed deep ball, touchdown. Even if it is 7-on-7, it was a real positive for this Jaguar offense in this workout. Then back to Trevor Lawrence, and now you're starting to sustain a little success there. And he goes deep to Duvernay on a deep ball for 6. And kind of like what we saw with CJ Beathard earlier when he just missed Parker Washington, manipulates that middle of the field safety, and then he gets Duvernay open down the sideline for the explosive play. CJ Beathard up next with the threes, works the out to DeGuara again at the tight end position. Then he unfortunately had a drop from Parker Washington that kind of stymied that sequence. And Mac, once again, working third during 7-on-7. Now, I thought these linebackers, I think they've continued to do some nice things. Andrew Parker Jr., a free agent acquisition out of Appalachian State, probably not going to make the football team, but hey, we see you. We see you, Andrew Parker Jr. Nice pass breakup against the Australian, Patrick Murtaugh. Murtaugh, of course, on the International Player Pathway Program with the Jaguars, former Australian rules player at about 6'5, 6'6, 250 pounds, previously of the Detroit Lions, now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But it was Parker on that play that did a nice job. Then you get back into some more 11 on 11. It was interesting, too, because this was a longer workout. I don't know if that had to do with, look, we got to, rep up this offense some more, try to get some things going, but it was a longer practice on Saturday. And then you get back into 11 on 11, Trevor up first. You look over on the other side, it's a base defense based on 12 personnel for the Jaguar offense. So again, Muma in there at the strong side linebacker position. Um, and when that happens, your nickel's going to come out. So it's Muma for Savage when you go base for nickel. And again, working inside, you're looking at Devon Hamilton and also Aseze Otamiwa is working in there as well on the defensive line. And then you get into, your football. And Trevor, it was either a deflection or he had his arm hit. Either way, the big day for Travon Walker continued. Travon Walker in pass coverage. How about that on Saturday morning? He ends up with the interception that he celebrates by running down the right sideline. That brings in CJ Beathard. You don't really get a whole lot out of that sequence either. The Jaguar defense continues to do a nice job. And then Patterson misses extremely wide right. So, at least in terms of the first 3 or 4 days, if you're wondering about the gap, if there is a gap right now, I think it's pretty obvious that it's Cam Little ahead of Riley Patterson. That's why you drafted Cam Little in the 6th round. The guy is immensely talented. Has he been perfect in camp? No. But he's 20 years old, and you can see it. This guy has the potential to kick in the National Football League for a long, long time. So Patterson's latest miss leads to a sequence where you get Trevor back on the field, and he's going against mostly 2s and 3s at this point for the Jaguar defense. And he's working with a couple of reserves, though, on his offensive line. Fortner's in there at center. Cooper Hodges is in there at right guard. And not probably, the best throw, I think, from Trevor all day comes on a crossing route to Evan Ingram that is on time, confident, and accurate. Then you start getting some more uh, reserves on the offensive line. Shatley checks in at left guard. You've got Walker Little checking in at left tackle for Cam Robinson. And, once we get into pads, there's going to be some interesting competitions that you really start to get a better feel for because it's hard. When you're in shorts and helmets and you're trying to evaluate offensive line spots, for example, or maybe some things that you're going to look to do on the defensive side, that doesn't really start to take life until you get into full pad work, which is coming up here in the next couple of days. But even though it's shorts and helmets, I thought, and I don't know how this is going to sound, I thought the run game was the highlight of this sequence with Trevor in there against the 2s and 3s. Etienne, Bigsby, both did some nice things. And then you capped it off finally with a Dearness Johnson touchdown off the right side for a red zone touchdown. Now, defensively during this run, there was still some good stuff, and it was one of those times where we actually saw Antonio Johnson at the slot corner. Really haven't seen that much. We've seen Christian Braswell. We've, of course, seen Darnell Savage. I think we've seen some of maybe Gregory Jr. in there, but not as much of Antonio Johnson as we might have thought. But he was in there on the sequence, and he nearly had a pick of Trevor Lawrence during that sequence here to kind of get Trevor through the 11 on 11. Then you get Mac up next, and he has a nice scramble off a bootleg, and it culminates. You're thinking again at this point, if there's an offensive MVP for this practice, it is Cam Little. You're ready to hand him the hardware as he comes out to cap 11 on 11 work for this Saturday. And his Kick from distance, 50 plus. I'm thinking 52-ish on this one. I don't think he hit it great, but this guy has enough pop that it still had plenty on it, but it doinks off that right upright. And it was kind of symbolic, I thought, of the offensive performance, not only on Saturday, but through the first 4 days of camp. So there you go. There are some takeaways from day 4. Defense, defense, defense. If you were looking for improvement under Ryan Nielsen, 4 days through training camp, anyway, that has been the case. We'll see. Still very early. Still not time to hit the panic button. Not time to do that yet with your veteran quarterback. Got some guys you need to get into the mix. I mean, kind of concerning that you don't see Brian Thomas Jr. really show up very much, if at all, during the practice on Saturday. We talked about the consistency with Brian Thomas Jr. previous to the Jags and how that could be even more underscored early on in his time in the NFL. But you credit the defense for a lot of it. Good stuff from that side of the football. That's going to do it for the latest edition of No Sleep Teal. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel right here, we would certainly appreciate it if you would go ahead and do that. Turn on those notifications. You'll get all these shows as they drop on Reier on YouTube. Hey, if you don't mind, hit us with a like too. Those thumbs ups, they really help a good bit as well. Travis Reier, thanking you once again. And until next time, so long, everybody.